her Chinese Communist Party counterparts and talks about the administration softening a stance on decoupling our economies. How damaging is that toward sending a clear message to Beijing that we're not screwing around anymore?
Yeah, I think we need to send a stronger, more powerful message. Responsible way, absolutely, but that we have resolve.
Okay, thank you. I yield back.
And now we go to Ms. Steele.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for hosting this hearing on a growing threat of the CCP's control and manipulation data. Since I was elected, I've been working with many of our colleagues on the committee to stop the CCP from engaging in espionage using Logink, after Congressman Johnson was talking about their state-backed shipping logistic platform. As mentioned, Logink provides Chinese companies unprecedented insight into their competitors' business, allowing China to undercut competition and strengthen its position in the global marketplace. Ms. Lansbury, legislation I'm working on with Senator Cotton would require the president to work with international partners to stop their use of Logink and prevent its inclusion in any economic or trade package. In your testimony, you mentioned that Logink became a member of the International Port Community System Association. Since the United States is engaging in the Indo-Pacific Economic Framework, which the administration claims will include efforts to promote trade facilitation and would include steps to promote logistical streamlining, how concerned should we all be about the utilization of Logink by IPEF countries? By the way, they didn't include Taiwan on that. It's really, try to stand up to CCP. I just don't understand, and they don't have any plan to do it, I already asked. And how this would impact United States' interest.
I am as surprised as you about the association's affiliation, so that's an opportunity to figure out what's going on there and what is, again, like we discussed earlier, an alternative. So I would encourage more conversation and discussion with allies about the opportunity to create something else. And I think companies could support that.
I think this is national security issues
Absolutely.
too, because South Korea, Japan, as you said, that free, and all these countries that our partners are using it, Spain, Portugal, you name it. So all of our Navy ships are going out there. China knows exactly that when these ships are coming in and when they're gonna leave. So Representative Banks and Johnson and I worked on an amendment for the current NDAA that would ban all Department of Defense usage of Logink. The use of Logink at ports around the world could subject sensitive U.S. military logistics to more surveillance by Chinese intelligence and military operators. Can you explain why Logink would make it hard to maintain secrecy in movements in port abroad?
I think that you also, not only America, but our allies, and even just, other nations where we have to do business, and to have the Logink have complete visibility on what's happening is just a national security threat.
Actually, I talked to Korean government, and they're reviewing it, and they try to change to the system itself, because when all these countries, they thought that it's free, actually nothing's free out
Correct.
there, right? So they said they're gonna change all the systems. We don't know exactly when, but it's very dangerous process here. So thank you so much for coming out today. Really appreciate it. I yield back.
Ms. Hinson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And I have learned a lot already tonight from our witnesses. Thank you for appearing before us. I think you're helping us to get to one of the core missions of our committee, a core challenge that we face, which is addressing, as you called it tonight, a complete asymmetry that we are dealing with the Chinese Communist Party. They are not an impartial market regulator. Unlike the United States, where we do try to protect individual rights, they do not. They don't have that value. They try to advance the interests of a corrupt state over their people. They have a huge disadvantage for American investors and American companies located in China. So I really appreciate the conversation we've already had tonight to get to the heart of this issue. I'd like to direct this question to Ms. Lunsberry, but if any of you had some feedback, I'd welcome that. One of the top concerns, and I continue to hear about this from businesses in Iowa, but is related to IP theft, and we've already heard a little bit about that tonight. But this is not just large-scale businesses, this is also smaller-scale businesses that are bringing that concern to me, how they're trying to work within the patent and regulatory frameworks, but are met with that straight IP theft. And we know China is a massive economy. We've had discussion about why the interest would be there for people to want to try to access that, economy and tap into that market. But there are a lot of resources out there, but there's a huge challenge and a huge gap there. So what, I guess my question would be, what do you see as the top issue that Congress needs to do to tackle this? And we've heard some solutions tonight, but if there's one area where you would just zero in and say, this is what we should be doing, I'd welcome that recommendation. And then how can we better track frequent offenders that are blatantly stealing our intellectual property here in the United States?
Thank you for your question. One thing that just pops to mind immediately based